Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and it's Women's History Month, and I'm here today to talk to you about Bend It Like Beckham, the 2002 movie. Wow, this movie came out over 20 years ago. That is insane, and it still holds up today. But this is my first time ever watching this movie, and it's about time. I've always wanted to watch this movie. I remember when I was back in college, I saw either I heard the name of the movie or I saw it like in the store, like on VHS and DVD and stuff. And I always remember thinking, oh, Keira Knightley's in this movie. I know who she is. I've seen her in some stuff. But I didn't know who the other girl was and stuff. But when it came to the movie, I really didn't know nothing about this movie. I kind of just assumed it was probably about soccer or something like that. I thought it might have been like a coming of age type story or something like that. And I remember I saw one clip, maybe two clips, and they both had Keira Knightley in it. It was the bra scene in the beginning of the movie. Then there was the mom, I'm not a lesbian scene. So I'm kind of like, what the heck is this movie about? And like, I've never paid attention to the title, like never. I always assumed it was called Bend It Like Beckham. And so when watching the movie and it said Bend It Like Beckham, I still didn't know what the heck that meant. But then once I saw the poster of David Beckham and then I saw it was about soccer, I'm like, oh, it's about him. And everything. Well, kind of about him. Well, actually, it's not about him. It's just about soccer and a girl and stuff like that. But the title comes from chorus like that kick he does, that curling free kick and everything. And so, like, yeah, so it's like title after that, and she has like a huge obsession about him and stuff. And so I'm like, okay, that's clever and everything. Maybe it will kind of be like Sugar and Spice, where this one girl's always talking about him, and maybe he'll make like a cameo at the end of the movie. Technically, he does, and technically, he doesn't. Technically, him and Victoria Beckham, they do make cameos at the airport, but it's played by completely different people because he had a scheduling conflict and everything. But he is shown in like, archive footage and stuff. So yeah. But like I've always wanted to like watch this movie because I've just been so curious. And I've always wondered who is like, this Indian actress, which I've seen her in other projects. I just didn't know it was her. But the craziest thing when going into this movie is that I always assume, like, I knew it was about two girls, right? But I always assumed the main girl of the movie was Keira Knightley. Because, Keira Knightley is like, she was like a huge name back then because of like the Pirates movie and stuff. I also saw her in King Arthur. And, normally when it's a movie, and of course a British movie, it normally, is about like the white character. But they flipped the script. And I was completely shocked and surprised to find out it's actually about the Indian character. In fact, it's primarily that of an Indian movie, and it's like Keira Knightley's more like a supporting main cast member. This was like shocking and very refreshing. And this came out in 2002 in Britain, of all places. The originators of like, like racism on other races and stuff. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, those people literally tried to conquer the world and everything. They put their toes in just about every country you can think of. They took over like, North America. They rule parts of India and like China and stuff like that. They took over like South Africa and everything. So I just assumed, like the movie was about Keira Knightley. But I was really shocked and surprised. It's about a pajama. I can't say, huh? Okay, is it pajami? Is that how you say it? I'm not really 100% sure. I know I heard the great Kali and they kept mentioning like that name, but I've never actually tried to pronounce that name outside my head. And apparently I can't really say it. I think it's pajami or something like that, like Indian people. And so that was like really refreshing. Like I said, back in 2002 of all time. Literally, this movie was woke before woke was even a thing. Like, you got to hear about their culture, you got to hear their language and everything, you got to hear their struggles and stuff. You got to know what these type of people were like. Now, I know a lot of Indian people who live in Britain are Pakistani. I'm not sure if this family is or not. I know somebody called them like a racial slur by that name, but I'm not sure if it's like, that what type there are. And if I would have watched this movie back in the day, I would have known that there were Indian people in Britain. Back in the day, I had no idea. I always assumed it was just always white and black, but mostly white. And like, I was really shocked, surprised to see that there are actually Chinese Asian people in Britain as well. Like, that was a huge cultural shock for me. But it really wasn't until like, I think I was watching the news. It was sometime in the 2000s, and I saw this one Indian man. He was protesting something, and a lot of the people don't like this man. And so I'm all like, oh wow, there's like Indian people in Britain. But then it wasn't really until the 2010s, and especially about 8 years ago, I started watching these two British shows that have to, like, one of them's a predominantly white show, and it has one Indian character in there. And the only thing I knew about her is that, they shave their legs. Apparently, they have like really hairy arms and legs, and the women and stuff like that. And that's something a lot of the girls have to do. But it really, really, really wasn't until this show, Ackley Bridge, that I actually started to actually learn about like their culture and stuff like that. And like get a real good perspective on their interactions with that of like white people, because it's predominantly a Pakistani and like white show, and it shows the difference between their cultures because they don't get along, so they had to put their kids in like this one school, and it's like drama, drama, drama. And so like this was like 8 years ago, I think I watched it. And so like a lot of the stuff I'm hearing in Bend It Like Beckham, not Beckham. See, I keep saying that. Bend It Like Beckham. I don't know where I ever got the Bethlehem part from. But like a lot of the stuff I hear in Bend It Like Beckham, I heard like, in Ackley Bridge and stuff. But they didn't do the shaving of the hair part. Well, they did that twice. No, they did that. Let's see, they did that one time in Ackley Bridge, and then one time, like I said, in Some Girls. And like, so they didn't do it in this movie and stuff. But it's just fascinating that, like, to learn about other cultures. Because, like I said before, like, I live in America. So, I don't know what goes on in these other countries. And also that Miss Marvel show, I learned a little bit about Britain and Indian people and stuff. And, it's a part of history that people never learn unless, like, you take a class or these type of people, or like you watch like a show or movie. Since watching Ackley Bridge and like other shows, I've seen a lot more Indian characters appear in like British shows and stuff, but they're mostly comedies and it's mostly men. So it's like they never talk about like their culture. They just stick to whatever the script is like about, you know what I'm saying? There it is, this one show called, I think, Lady Parts. It's like a comedy show about Indian band. I still haven't fully watched that yet. It's on Peacock and you can watch it for free. So I'm really curious to know what they have to say. Because one thing I've noticed about both Ackley Bridge and like Bendit, like Beckham, is that every time I've always seen, like most of the time, about like female Indian characters, a lot of their stories always revolve around like the child just wanting to be like, not learning much about Indian culture, wanting to adapt to whatever country they're in, having a stern father who's a little, sometimes they're like a little bit more accepting, sometimes they're not, but a very, very, very strict, overprotective mother. And I've noticed that's something I see like a lot. Even in the Miss Marvel show, the moms always are depicted as being overprotective. And I do wonder is how like accurate that is. Like is it like, not every family is gonna be like that. That's an Indian family who lives in like another country and stuff. But I do wonder the majority of like how much is that, like the percentage, you know what I'm saying? And it would be nice, like, if I could watch something where it's like, Indian female characters and like their mothers, and not always see the over strict like mother, you know what I'm saying? But like back in 2002, it's like fine, whatever. It's like the first time people got to see something like this, like, you know what I'm saying? But it's still interesting. 20 years later, I'm still seeing that exact storyline. Now, I'm not sure how to say her name. She wrote and directed this movie. Corinda Chatha. Like, she is the one who, like, put this whole thing together. And, like, I never even knew it was a female director and stuff. Like, never. Like, I just never researched this movie because I forgot about it. That's the thing. And I've forgotten about it for over 15, 20 years and stuff. Until I saw it on Hulu. I'm all like, oh yeah, let me finally watch this movie I wanted to watch ever since like I was in college and stuff. Because I've always been curious, what the heck is this movie about? Other than just two girls and it looks like they're wearing soccer uniforms and stuff. And the movie was extremely well received and everything. Like, it was nominated and won tons of awards. It was praised by like many countries and stuff. And it made so much money and everything. I think it was like, how much money did it make? I want to say it's like 5.6 billion was the budget, but it made about like 76.4 million at the box office and stuff. Ironically, the movie has never ever had like a sequel, and there's never been a reboot or a remake. However, Keira Knightley did say that like because so many people always assumed her character was a lesbian, and because it's a running gag in the movie, she wanted like both the characters to come back but to like date each other. And I'm really shocked and surprised there's never been a sequel. Like, you would have assumed the sequel would have shown both the girls in America at college and shown like how they adjusted to American lifestyle, how they adjusted to American college, playing soccer at college and everything, where their lives went. I am really, really, really shocked and surprised they just never made a sequel. But then again, both actresses were extremely busy with like, both their acting lives and stuff. And back in the early 2000s, people really weren't thinking of like franchises or sequels or sagas. It was mostly sometimes just a one and done type thing. Yeah, you had the sequels every once in a while from other projects, but movies like this were always normally self-contained, like Kiss of the Dragon. And yes, just like I said before, I'm an American, so I'm gonna call it soccer and not football. sorry, that's just how it is for me. And I remember, like, I've always liked soccer. I've never watched it on TV, but, like, when I was in middle school in PE, they made us play it, and I was so good as like a goalie and everything. I was stopping those balls like non-stop. I remember, like, sometimes I wasn't even like trying to like stop it with like my shin area, but somehow when I just bent down to try to grab it, it hit my shin, and it's like, okay, whatever. Like, I prevented y'all from scoring and stuff. But then I remember I got tired of playing it after a while. And this one friend of mine, like, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give you my soccer goalie power. And everything. And the dude was like phenomenal and everything. But then when I went to go play it again, all of a sudden, like, I guess I gave him too much of my power. I couldn't stop no balls no more and everything. Like, I was just trying. I'm like, all right, I gotta stop this. I give up. Like, I give up. Like, it's like, I can't stop the balls no more. I remember I had an uncle who played it in high school, not professionally, but like in PE. But then I had another uncle who hated soccer. And when I told him, oh yeah, it's a pretty cool sport, he's all like, what? You're black. You ain't supposed to like soccer. But soccer, when you think about it, like so many countries play it. But like from what I've heard, the two best like player like teams and stuff are in Brazil, but the men's Brazil team and the women's soccer team in America and stuff. And I was really shocked and surprised to hear in this movie that, like, the female soccer player were amateurs and stuff because they didn't have no type of professional league of their own. I've never done no research, so I haven't went too far into it, but they had to go to like America just to play like, in college and try to play like in the big leagues and stuff. And that's really interesting and fascinating. But of course, the two stars of the movies are the two lead women. The supporting cast is great as well, and they are hilarious. I love both the moms. The sister was hilarious with that one line, all like, you ruined my life, you ruined my marriage. Why couldn't you live a secret life like everybody else? Like, seriously. That was like a hilarious line. The dad was cool. The dad was very touching. Like, to hear how he was racially like profiled back in the day, and that's why he has fears of his daughter playing soccer because he was playing cricket and stuff. And but the two main like stars of this movie are Parminda Nagra and Keira Knightley. And I've seen these two in so many projects. I've also heard their voices in projects. I had no idea who Parminda was. Like, I would see her in other projects, but I didn't know she was the girl from like Bend It like Beckham and stuff. And like, she plays Jess Mender, aka Jess, and Kira plays that of like Jules. And so like I do love, like I said before, like the heart and soul of this movie for me is just learning these like different cultural like experiences and stuff and what they have to deal with, because the movie really goes like deep and they don't really hold back on like the cultural education of like the Indian culture in like, in India and both like in Britain and stuff. And it was just so great to like learn about that. Like some of the things that like, people back in the day, this is like a cultural shock to them. For me, not too much, only because I've seen it in like, Ackley Bridge. But there are some other things in Ackley Bridge they really didn't touch on. Like they did interracial dating in Ackley Bridge, and it was no big deal. But in the Indian culture, it is like a big deal. I remember these two actresses. One is from The Sex Lives of College Girls, and the other one is from Some Girls. And during the Black Lives Matter protest, they revealed online that, yeah, their people don't really fancy black people all that much and stuff. And in fact, like they mock black people in like Indian like movies and television shows, and it's like, wow, I would have never guessed that. Because in this movie, Jess like tells like the other soccer girls, when it comes to dating, she strictly has to date like an Indian guy, because her parents will not allow her to date white, black, and not even a Muslim guy and stuff. And I do know it is very strict in like a lot of families, especially those that are very highly religious and stuff, and especially in the Indian culture. I remember that Harry Potter girl, there's like two Indian girls in the movie franchise. One of them, who appeared in more movies than the other, she was physically beaten by her father and her brother for not dating a Muslim guy. And it was like shocking to hear that. But now she's married to like a Muslim guy and like, stuff like that. And I remember back when I was in college, I'm not exactly sure what race she was, but she was Indian, I know. And it was like my freshman year, and I had like the hugest crush on her and stuff. To where like I will always like, she was like department assistant person at the front desk, and like she was also a student and I was a student, so I would like skip my class just to like go hang out with her and talk to her and stuff like that. And I mean, when oh my God, I crushed hard on that girl, boy. Whew. You know what I'm saying? And like, I remember I asked her, like, do you have to have an arranged marriage? Because I used to always hear about that when it comes to like Indian people. And she says, like, with some families, they still hold on to that tradition, but a lot of them don't do it no more. And I think she said even her family doesn't do it no more. But then, like, I remember the most heartbreaking thing. Like, I don't know if it was the next semester or the next school year or whatever, but like, I no longer saw her there at the desk. I'm like, what the heck happened to her? So I asked the other people around, and they said, oh, she's getting married, and she went to go move to wherever, like, her fiance lives. I'm like, no, and everything. And so like I feel for the Jess character when she falls for her coach, who happens to be like a white dude and stuff. And it's like, her sister has an arranged marriage and stuff. And like, so I know where she's coming from, you know what I'm saying? Like watching this movie literally made me think of that person back my freshman year of college, all the way back in 2001. I have not thought about her since. I wonder what she's up to now, but I can't even remember her last name. And back in my freshman year, I think it wasn't until my sophomore year until like, Facebook started to be like a thing. MySpace was around, but not too many people knew about it. And so since that we never exchanged like emails or like phone numbers, and there was no social media, I have no idea where she is now. So Jonathan Rhys Meyers, he plays the coach. I think his name is Joe. And he's a supporting character who both girls have a crush on. Basically, when he was younger, like I don't know exactly how old he is in this, but I know the girls are 18. And so, like, when he was younger playing soccer, he hurt his knee, had to have like has a big scar from having surgery, so he's unable to play. He doesn't get along with his father. He coaches like girls soccer, which his dad does not approve of and stuff. And he has a crush back on Jess, which, really pisses off Jules because she had a crush on him first. And so it causes a rift between her and Jess. Also, Jess's parents do not approve of it and stuff. And he does try to like, rebuild, like he tries to like, ease things over with like her parents and stuff. I wish he had a bit more character development in terms of like the crush that he has back on Jess, because it really wasn't like apparent, because like At first, he's kind of irritated because she doesn't have like a uniform or the right shoes and stuff like that. But then after that, like, he consoles her about like her scar, her burn scar on her thigh. And it's just kind of like I wish we could have got like a bit more character development with him to like better flesh out like his character, because it just seems like he's like the perfect guy almost. But then at times you'll see him yell at her because he's the coach and he can't like pick favorites. But then why do you like her and keep trying to kiss her? And but then the part at the end when he's playing cricket with like her father, that was too much of a nice wrapped up in a little bow type thing for me. Keira Knightley plays Jules. And so she has a very short, boyish type hairstyle. It's kind of like a bob, but more like a boy's hairstyle. And her whole running gag is that people always assume she's like a lesbian and everything. And I told you this before when it comes to Call the Midwife, is that pretty much every country doesn't like the LGBT, and Britain's no exception. Like, they used to give hormone pills to like, guys to make sure they wouldn't get like sprung and everything. And if they was caught like messing around with like a guy, you can go to jail for that back in the day. Like, it was a serious thing, conversion therapy, electroshock therapy. It was a mess. And so the first scene we really see of her is with like her mom, and her mom is trying to make her as girly as possible, because even though her mom like seems like she's sympathetic to gay people, deep down inside she doesn't like them and does not want her daughter to be one. And so there's a reference to like Kira's boobs, talking about how they're small, and she's talking about like, you can just get like a push-up bra or like a little pad to go in there. And this reminded me of the controversy that happened with the King Arthur movie. See, Keira Knightley has small boobs, right? She's very skinny, thin frame, and in the poster for King Arthur, and on the source and like the DVD poster and promotional stuff, they photoshopped bigger boobs on her, and people were outraged because they're all like, look, she doesn't have them. Why do you think she needs them? And you shouldn't like judge her on her body and stuff. So I automatically thought of that when I saw this scene. But then throughout the rest of the movie, she befriends like Jess, and they become best friends and everything. It's never shown them having other friends, so it's kind of like, so they kept it condensed in that formula. And so like there's a scene where they're at the bus stop and they're kind of like fooling around, not making out, but they're goofing around. They're close to each other but not like making out. So this one person driving by stuck her head out the window of the car in complete shock, and they thought it was funny, but it turns out this was the parents of Pinky, and Pinky is the sister of like Jess and everything, and who's supposed to get married to this guy. And so like it causes a big problem to where the parents don't want Pinky to marry their son, and so it's a big thing about that. And so like, but things kind of boil like to a boiling point when it comes to that of Jess and Jules, because I just realized both their names start with a J. But anyway, they both crush on Joe, and Joe's name is J. What's up with the J's? I don't understand this. But anyway, they both crush on Jay. I mean Joe. But like, Jules, she doesn't like pursue, but while being like tipsy and everything, Jess pursues it, and it pisses that of Jules off to where she literally will not talk to like, Jess no more. And Jules' mom is all like, oh, that's why she's so upset. Not because they lost the game in Germany, but because her and Jess broke up romantically and everything. So after those two reconcile and everything, Jess goes to like, Pinky's wedding to tell, Jules go to Pinky's wedding to tell Jess something. And Jules' mom makes a fool out of herself. She's all like, I know what's going on and everything. Y'all are having a lesbian relationship and all this and blah, blah, blah. And then so Jess's entire like family couldn't understand what Jules was saying, and they thought that she was talking about the astrological sign Libra or something like that. And they're like, no, our daughters are our relatives are Pisces and everything. But then like Jules completely fusses her mom out in the car talking about I'm not a lesbian and everything, and all this other stuff. So the mom's relieved. So like, oh, but I never hated the gays and everything. George Michael's, what they did to him was like wrong and everything. But basically, her and Jess go to like America to play soccer in the same college. I guess I'll go to Pinky next. Pinky is like, Jess's like free spirited sister, a little bit of a wild child, dresses sexy and everything. And she has an arranged marriage, and this is like the only thing she's concerned about in the movie. She does try to help, like, her sister sneak away to soccer but get busted. But basically, marrying this dude is like her main focus, and she's pretty hilarious when it comes to it. To where like when they break up and everything, and then when they do get married, and and it's cool to see like an Indian marriage. I think I saw it once in a Disney Channel movie and stuff. That Cheetah Girls, when they go to like Bollywood, they have like a Bollywood type thing, and it's like it's a huge party, man. Tons of food, tons of people, very colorful clothes, tons of dancing and everything. Like they party it up, which is completely different from your traditional like North American wedding, or I guess Britain people had the same type of marriage as Americans and Canadians and stuff, but it's just like so different, like an Indian wedding and stuff. So Perminda Nagra plays that of Jess Minder. And so Jess is the main star. Jess's big thing, her goal is just to play soccer. She loves playing soccer. But, her mom doesn't really approve of it because she don't think Indian girls play soccer. Jess is one of those type of people who's not really all that traditional. She doesn't really cling to the old ways. She's more about living in the now and whatever country she's in to like adapt. And so her biggest crush, like she's such a fan of David Beckham and stuff. And so because of that, she just loves to play soccer. She has a friend named Tony who's like her best guy friend. So that's really like the only friend she has in like the movie, but you really don't see him that much. And so like, he plays soccer with her, with his guy friends. And so, like, eventually, she stumbles upon Jules and she joins the amateur soccer league. And from there, she doesn't really have like, the right uniform. So they have to give her a uniform. They have to give her those special type of shoes because she doesn't have those and stuff because her family doesn't make a lot of money. And sometimes Jules provide for her. Like when they had to go to like a club, she gave her her mom shoes and stuff like that, and also bought her an outfit. And so, like, one of the things that they gave this character was a giant burn scar on the thigh. I'm not really sure why they gave her that storyline, other than just to connect with Joe's scar on his knee. But they could have connected in a different kind of way. But I guess that was to show, like, more of a compassionate type thing. But, whatever. She is phenomenal when it comes to soccer. She has some really good moves and stuff. And she quickly becomes one of like the star players on like, the league. But, things at home are starting to complicate that. Mainly that of her mother. And so like when her mom sees her playing with her guy friends, and I guess some of them were picking on her and got a little rough with her, that just was the bottom line when it came to that of her mom. Her mom is very strict, very traditional, and just doesn't approve of, like, Jess's behavior. So it causes her to sneak around and play soccer. And she'll use any kind of opportunity to sneak around and do it. Like, she'll hide her book bag in the bushes, and she'll go and then she'll change at, like, the locker room and stuff. And then eventually her sister helps her sneak around. And then at one point, the father helps her sneak around when she has to go to her sister's wedding. She gets along with her teammates very well, but like I said before, she crushes on her coach. And that's a bigger complication because not only is the soccer thing a big no-no for her family, but dating a white guy is an even bigger no-no and stuff. Her dad tells her of the story of how he was made fun of because of his turban when he used to play on a cricket team with tons of white guys. They were just really rude and racist towards him. And he doesn't want his daughter to have to go through all that because he actually went to one of her games when she was supposed to pretend to be sick. And so she snuck out. And when he went back into the house, she wasn't there. He figured she was on the soccer field. And he saw this one white girl do something inappropriate. I think she tugged at her shirt, but Jess got penalized. And it's kind of like, why? Like, it was the white girl's fault, but instead they punished the Indian girl. And so that made him think of, like, his racial times and stuff. So then he doesn't want her to play, but eventually lets her. But of course, the final game is gonna be on the sister's wedding. So she goes to the wedding, then the dad lets her go for like an hour to play soccer and stuff. And so basically, he realizes this is his daughter's dream and he doesn't want to stand in front of it and stuff. He wants his daughter to be happy, but the mother just wants her to be traditional and want her to be safe. Eventually, both, like I said before, her and Jules get a scholarship to America where they go to college, but then there's another obstacle. Their father or the parents might not let her go abroad and she's not married. I guess that's traditional too as well. So Tony's all like, hey, look, Tony, well, it's revealed that he's gay and he tells that of Jess. Now, they don't go into much detail about it and nobody finds out in the movie. I'm surprised they really didn't explore that because that's also another big no-no in the Indian community. Well, pretty much in any community in any country. But, like, they don't like it as well. And so I'm surprised they didn't like touch on that more. I guess they didn't want to like go that far since they was already going far in the movie. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, he said, look, you can beard me, and, like, so we can just get, like, tell your parents that we're finna get engaged, this and that. But then when he tells her parents that, she tells them, no, he's just covering for me, but she does not out him. And she's all like, I really want to go to, like, America and make something of myself and play soccer and one day get into one of the major leagues and stuff like that. So the mom just finally gives up and like, all right, fine, whatever. Like, I'll just pray for you, whatever, and stuff like that. You just go and live your dream. And so that's what happens, Then they accept like Joe as like her boyfriend and stuff. And then her and Jules, they go to America and they play soccer. Before I wrap this up, there's one more person I wanted to mention because I had no idea this is who this actress was. So there's a character in the movie, the only black character, and her name is Mel. She's the captain of like the soccer team. And like literally like she does nothing in the movie. She's just there, because she's black. But but the person who plays her, I can't believe who this is. I'm not sure how to say her name is Shajnay Lewis. She's a singer from All Saints. Man, I grew up with All Saints in high school. I love that band. I had the CD. I would play almost every night. She has an amazing voice. But All Saints broke up again in like 2021, so I guess she might be doing the solo thing again. But man, I had no idea that was her. I had no idea just how good this movie was. Like, I knew it was a big thing back in 2002 because they couldn't stop talking about it on television and stuff, but I didn't know just how big and how significant and how important, like, this movie was. And it is quite a shame this has never gotten a sequel or never gotten some type of follow up or never gotten any kind of like, um, remake. But if they were to do it nowadays, they would probably really mess it up. So it's probably best that it's just like a one and done type thing. But yeah, you can find it on Hulu. And I'm pretty sure if you're on Disney Plus, it's connected to your Hulu, so you can also watch it there. Happy Women's History Month, everybody. All right, well, I'll talk to you later. Bye.